But she doesn't want to speak to the media right now, so if y'all would please respect her privacy. She's in the car here. We're going to take her so she can get cleaned up and everything like that. But I do have a statement to read on her behalf. This is a happy day for Margaret Rudin and her family, but the joy of being released from prison is tempered by the fact that Margaret Rudin is innocent and she did not murder her husband, Ron Rudin. She's been incarcerated for 20 years for a crime she did not commit. Margaret Rudin experienced the worst of our criminal justice system has to offer. She was plagued by an incompetent and ineffective lead trial counsel. When she sought relief from the trial court, the judge refused to grant a mistrial in the face of obvious injustice. After Margaret was convicted of first-degree murder, as a consequence of her incompetent defense, the district attorney's office was convinced that Margaret's conviction would be overturned on appeal. The district attorney, in an almost unheard-of move, offered Margaret a plea deal of second-degree murder while dropping the use of a deadly weapon charge. That would have reduced Margaret's sentence by years, but she would have been released from prison a long time ago. But Margaret Rudin refused to accept the deal because Margaret Rudin is innocent. Let this truck go by. Things got even worse for Margaret during her appeal. Her court-appointed appellate attorney abandoned Margaret and never filed her appeal. Margaret attempted to timely file her own appeal, but Judge Joseph Bonaventure would not accept it. Then Christopher Oram was appointed to represent Margaret on her appeal. Christopher Oram filed the appeal, and during a hearing in 2008 before District Judge Sally Lohr then vacated. Christopher Oram filed the appeal during a hearing in 2008 before District Judge Sally Lohr, and he presented evidence of the unfair trial and ineffective assistance of trial counsel. Judge Lohr then vacated Margaret's murder conviction and ordered a new trial, but the state appealed the order to the Nevada Supreme Court. There, the state argued for the first time ever that Margaret's appeal was not timely filed. The Nevada Supreme Court then summarily overturned Judge Lohr's new trial order in violation of Nevada statutes and practice. After initially losing her appeal in the federal district court, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals eventually allowed Margaret's appeal to proceed. Margaret's appeal is currently pending in the federal district court here in Las Vegas. We will continue to fight to clear Margaret's name in an effort to not only bring relief to Margaret, but to publicize the fact that our criminal justice system needs to be fixed in order to prevent the injustice that happened to Margaret to happen to others. It's difficult to find a silver lining in this tale, but there were attorneys who sacrificed and worked hard for Margaret. Margaret and I would like to thank Thomas Pitaro and the late John Mamet for their efforts during her trial. Mr. Pitaro joined the defense team a week or so before the trial started, and Mr. Mamet volunteered to join the defense team during the middle of the trial. Most attorneys would have avoided this highly publicized and unprepared case like the plague, but these fine gentlemen brought honor to the legal profession for their hard work in the face of almost certain defeat. Margaret and I would also like to thank attorney Christopher Oram, who was appointed to represent Margaret on her appeal after Margaret's prior counsel abandoned her and missed the statute of limitations in filing her appeal. Mr. Oram's diligence and hard work resulted in a new trial order, which is most helpful to Margaret's appeal today and why it's still alive. And that's all we have to say at this point. Thank you very much.
Greg, what's Margaret's next steps? What's she doing now?
I think she wants to maybe get some coffee, take a bath, and get on some clothes.
Where will Miss Rudin go after she takes?
She's going to go off to Illinois to be close to her family. She wants to be reacquainted with her grandkids and her great-grandkids and her daughter.
Can you once again put into words for me what it's like for her? Did she say anything to you about, how she feels about getting out?
She's very happy to get out. She's very, this has been kind of a traumatic experience for her. So she's happy to get out. That's why she just wants to get out of here and get away as far as she can. But the people this morning were nice to her and nice to us when they let her out. And maybe they'll miss her. I don't know. But she won't miss them, I don't think. So.
Mr. Mulanax, yeah. What did Miss Rudin say when she saw you first as she was getting out?
Well, that's attorney-client privilege. No, she just said, "Oh, thank you for picking me up," something like that. But she's just happy to be out, and I think she just wants to go and get cleaned up and get some coffee.
You'll be asked this, she'll be asked this. You said that she's innocent. If not Miss Rudin, who?
I don't know, and if I did know now, I probably wouldn't say it right now, but Margaret Rudin is not innocent. That trial was a sham. It was fraud, and it should disturb everyone who watched that trial. And the evidence that was presented by the government in that case was not properly challenged, and it, despite the fact that Mr. Pitaro and Mr. Mamet came in to try to rescue the case, at that point there was nothing they could do. This was a complicated case. I've got a storage unit full of files, and there's no way you could go through that in a couple of days to get up to speed.
I may have misheard you. You said Margaret Rudin is not innocent?
No, she is innocent. Margaret Rudin is innocent. We're still fighting for her innocence. We're hoping that the federal court here will grant her a new trial. That case is still pending.
She mentioned plans to go to UNLV to pursue a degree. All that's out the window now?
I think so. She just wants to be with her family.
Is she going to stay in Nevada, do you know? Or go to out of state?
She's going out of state. She's going to Illinois. To be with her family.
What do you think the future holds for her? What are her goals and dreams for the future?
I think she wants to mainly get acquainted with her family. I think when the day came where she was actually going to be released, I think she started thinking more and more about her family. And she's been in here for 20 years, and she's excited about getting back to see her family and meeting her grandkids and getting to know them. So I think that's the first top priority.
Counselor, some of the filings recently have talked about Ms. Rudin's health. How is her health now?
I think it's as expected, considering she was locked up for 76 years old now, and hopefully she'll get better medical care on the outside. But right now, I think she's doing okay. She's been doing better, I think, than last same circumstances. It's been a very difficult. Thank you all for coming.